The following is a presentation of the Matt Talk Podcast Network.
Nervous? No, I'm anxious. I'm ready to go. I'm pumped up.
It's fun, man. It's exciting. It's finally here. I'm super excited. I don't really have nerves right now. I'm just pumped that this moment is rapidly approaching and it feels like it's here.
There's no nerves, just anxious. I'm just ready to get out there. I'm ready to put my hands on somebody and just go win.
When November 24, 2019 finally came, it put a close on the building era of the Little Rock wrestling program. It'd been 616 days since the announcement during the 2018 NCAA Division I Championships of a new Division I program. For head coach Neil Erisman, it's been 522 days since he was introduced as the first head coach in program history. For wrestling fans in the state of Arkansas, it was a decade and a half in the making. The only time a major state school had sponsored wrestling, as you learned in episode 1 of Rocked Up, came in the 1950s at Arkansas State. And that was more of a pet project of a wrestling coach rather than a bona fide athletics program. That also predated the NCAA's divisional structure. So history was going to be made when the first whistle blew at 2 p.m. on Sunday, November 24, 2019, at the Jack Stevens Center on the campus of the University of Arkansas at Little Rock. These are the final hours leading into the culmination of the building process and the commencement of competition. One last practice. They weigh in at home for the first time in 24 hours. Welcome to Rocked Up, the story of the foundation and formation of the first Division I college wrestling program in Arkansas, starting in November of 2019 at the University of Arkansas at Little Rock. This is the finale to that story. We started the journey developing the foundation of wrestling in the state of Arkansas, and now we've moved on to the formation of the team, because to tell the full story of this program, you had to have started at the very beginning. The Greg Hatcher Wrestling Center on the campus of the University of Arkansas at Little Rock is one of the finest wrestling practice facilities in the country, regardless of division. 11 months earlier, there were abandoned tennis courts where we stood. Now a dozen athletes go through their final practice before tomorrow's weigh-in. Wrestling rooms now are not dungeon-esque. With natural light coming in through the windows, the Hatcher Wrestling Center is a thing of beauty. An empty trophy case, first-class weightlifting equipment, and some of the biggest wrestling match you're going to find. Make no mistake about it, Little Rock has done this right. Now with those resources, it's up to Coach Neil Erisman and assistant coach Javier Maldonado to prepare their wrestlers for tomorrow's match against the University of the Ozarks, a Division III school from Clarksville, Arkansas. This is just more than a simple practice before a dual meet. This is something, again, that's never happened before.
Let's go, big cat. There you go. Get them turkey legs up there.
This first impression isn't just for the state of wrestling or the nation. It's for the next generation of Little Rock wrestlers. There's half a dozen recruits and their family members sitting here watching practice. The Hatcher Wrestling Center is a standalone facility. It's awesome. Erisman's recruiting map is going from Florida into the Central Plains and out west. With no tradition yet to speak of, his team's got to put on a good performance and impress wrestlers and their family members to believe that Little Rock is the place for them to continue their college careers. While the recruits are in the back of Erisman's mind, the focus is on the dual meet with Ozarks.
So let's get a good workout, get our weight down, relax tonight, get up in the morning, get some food in our belly, and let's get ready to scrap.
Yes, sir.
Let's be excited about it, too. Let's have some fun. Let's be excited. All right? Coach, you guys warm up?
You got 5 minutes in, and I'm stepping in.
The wrestlers start jogging in a circle, and quickly Coach Erisman and Coach Maldonado discuss the format.
How long we got? 15, 20 minutes warm up?
No, 12.
I got total time, 45. Total time, an hour with warm up and everything, hour, 10 minutes, hour, 15 minutes.
Before we go live?
Yeah, okay. Let's do a cool down. No, after live.
So after live is hour 15?
Yep.
Okay. So you got 45.
Completely done. Yep. Okay.
45, 2 matches, right?
Yep.
15 minutes, 45. I got 45.
Assistant coach Javier Maldonado.
Just a nice little warm-up, get their sweat going, get their blood going. And then we'll put them through some drills and some execution-type drilling. And then we'll wrestle a couple matches. It's fun, man. It's exciting. It's finally here. It's been a little bit of time. guys came in focused. You can tell the warm-up was awesome. It feels different.
Division III schools like the University of the Ozarks don't get that many opportunities to take a shot at Division I opposition, especially in a dual meet format. If there's ever a time for Ozarks to make a name for itself by knocking off a Division I opponent, this is that time. And Ayersman knows that.
Just focusing on staying sharp on the things that we got to be disciplined with, and being excited, being hungry, being ready to go out and put our foot on the line and punch someone in the mouth right away.
Not literally, of course, because you can't punch people in wrestling. Well, you can, but you're going to get penalized for it. Maybe even disqualified. But that's not important right now.
And understanding that we're going to get their best. And we got to expect that. We got to be excited about it. And we got to be ready to fight and be the person that no one wants to fight.
As noted in the beginning of the show, 522 days. Neil Ayersman has been looking forward to this moment.
I'm super excited. I don't really have nerves right now. I'm just pumped that this moment is rapidly approaching, and it feels like it's here. You know, I see the energy in my guys. I see the excitement, and it's got me fired up right now. And I feel like, for me, it's what I've been missing for the last year and a half.
Back up. I'm hand fighting back to my shot right away. 10 of those straight in a row without breaking. I don't want to take a takedown, and I don't want to get up like this. I'm on top. I get out front, put my hands on it, move him around as it's coming up. Right there's my shot. Okay? 10 executions. 10 executions all the way, power finish. 10 in a row, one guy, then when that guy's done, just break it till everyone's done, then we'll start the second guy together. Got it?
Yes, sir.
1, 2, go.
The moment isn't just big for Arkansas and the school and Neil Ayersman. A large group of friends and relatives have also come from all corners of the country, including Jim Ravinack, the former president of USA Wrestling, and his son Chad, who was a teammate with Neil at Oklahoma State. Also present is Pat Burton, Neil's longtime friend from Kansas, who also went to school with Neil at Oklahoma State. Will Pratt, a friend of both Neil and his wife Kelly, also made the trip. This also shows you the type of guy Neil is, that this many people want to come in to watch a dual meet on a Sunday in Arkansas the week before Thanksgiving.
My name's Pat Burton. I grew up with Neil. We met in 7th grade and been best friends ever since. You know, I just think it's really awesome, you know, everything that's going on here. I've watched Neil, you know, grow up and through high school, and then I was the equipment manager at Oklahoma State while he was in school. You know, it's kind of surreal to be here today, you know, before his first duel, and kind of see everything that he's helped build here in Little Rock. Super proud of everything, and it'll continue just to get better.
Nobody said they were nervous. They were either anxious or, as Pat says, excited.
I mean, I'm more excited for him. I know he's got these guys in the right spot, and, you know, they're going to go out there and compete hard just like he always did. And, you know, that's his philosophy, you know, with grit and making sure everybody's ready and they're going to be as tough as possible. So I'm more excited than nervous.
When Coach Ayersman was coaching and working in Oklahoma, he had an opportunity to go to the University of North Carolina as an assistant coach. Pat Burton, one of Neil's best friends, was one of the first guys he called.
You know, being not with him, but, you know, talking to him all the time about everything. Like I said, it's very crazy. You know, I told you earlier, I remember the phone call, you know, when he was considering going to North Carolina and leaving Stillwater, and, you know, how that all worked out. I was here this summer and it was just a shell, you know, and then now being here today and seeing the finished product. I mean, I'm just, like I said, super excited. It's awesome. And I just can't wait for tomorrow. Watch the first duel.
Also shadowing practice is the strength and conditioning coach, someone who also is getting his feet wet with wrestling for the first time.
I'm Colin Wallace. I'm the athletic performance coach for Little Rock Wrestling. My role in this position is to develop the athletes over the course of 4 years while they're here, take them from their freshman year all the way to their senior year, and develop strength, athleticism, and endurance. And each year try and progress and get a little bit better. And hopefully by the time they're juniors or seniors, they've developed more as an athlete so they can perform better on the mats as a wrestler.
Wallace is a Virginia native, so I liked him immediately. But his experiences in strength and conditioning and athlete performance were devoid of a wrestling program until he landed at Little Rock.
So I arrived, full-time with the team in the spring of this year, 2019. And so I got to see the development of a few of the transfers that came in. Connor, the first guy that was here last fall, and also the guys that we had in the summer. And then going all the way through the summer into the fall, guys that came in a little bit later. It's been awesome to see everybody kind of develop into a unique personality, get to know the guys, And then from an athletic standpoint, we've made a lot of progress, I think, as far as, body composition, muscle, athleticism, and strength. And so that's kind of what we're looking for is, my role mainly is to, in the off season, put muscle on them and see how we can, improve their strength and their power. And so from that standpoint, guys that come in a little bit smaller have developed a lot, since coming here in the summer, who haven't lifted, haven't been exposed to resistance training. So from that standpoint, it's been awesome. But also the mentality part too. You see guys that are starting to change as far as mentality, getting after a little bit harder, guys that are compete a little bit harder. And that's not just me, that's the entire staff, on a daily basis, being consistent with, coaching mentality, coaching effort, coaching intent on exactly what needs to be done to win championships. And our goal is to put trophies in the case. And so that's a daily thing we have to remind ourselves of and remind the guys of. And I think that's shown a lot, early this fall. So
Coach Erzman had his hands on everything involved with this program from start to finish. The strength and conditioning coach is no exception.
Coach Erzman's taken liberty of, putting me on the mat a couple times and putting me in positions. He hasn't been too aggressive or too bad, but he's definitely kind of put me in positions to be like, all right, this is what wrestling feels like. This is what the wrestlers go through. And I don't go through everything exactly how they do it, but, he'll let me feel like, all right, this is what it's like to stay in your stance for 5 minutes or 8 minutes or 10 minutes or, if we're going for a full hour, this is what it feels like on your glutes, your quads, your legs. So you definitely get humbled a little bit if you do those things and you do the sport a little bit and get an understanding of what it is. After studying it, you can read all you want about it, but once you get into those positions and you're kind of fighting for pressure on the ground and stuff, that kind of humbles you a little bit. So from that sense, it's been a really unique learning curve. So it's been awesome for him to teach me those things.
Strength and conditioning might actually not be an apt way to describe it. As Lawless says, it's athletic performance. And some of that performance is right between the ears. What is Lawless thinking about these athletes as they come into the next 24 hours preparing for the school's first duel?
I think it's really important to consider, where our minds are, where our mindset is. And for me, it's really exciting. But I think for them, the week coming up to this, our mentality, our kind of message was along the lines of positivity, stay positive, still, train hard this week, still be tough. But we want to stay positive with what we do and, taking care of nutrition. That's one huge thing we talk about is taking care of the nutrition, eating the right things, doing the right things to be successful. So going in the next 24 hours, those are a couple of things, just mainly staying positive. And then, as far as nutritionally, we still got to fuel our bodies for tomorrow. So how are we going to do that, to the best of our abilities?
And then there's the athletes. They're the ones who go out there and perform.
Dylan Johnson. I'm from Pine Bluff, Arkansas. And I'm going to school here at University of Arkansas at Little Rock.
Johnson will be one of 3 Arkansas natives in the starting lineup on Sunday. He's actually got college wrestling experience, having spent the last 2 years at Cowley Community College in Arkansas City, Kansas. This is a big moment for Johnson and his fellow Arkansans.
Man, it's an exciting feeling. Man, we work hard every day, and it's a huge motivation for me not to only show my talents, but also be one of the first Arkansas kids to go Division I in Arkansas in wrestling. So it's a big experience. It's hard to explain, but I'm ready to show it through all the stuff I've learned and grown from being under Coach Neal and Coach Harvey.
But is he nervous?
Nervous? No, I'm anxious. I'm ready to go. I'm pumped up. Nervous is not believing in what you've done. That's where you get nervous from. But, man, I've been telling people before, beforehand, before I came here, I used to be nervous when I competed because I never knew I was ready. But, man, being under the right coach and the right teammates pushing me, I'm ready. There's no nervous, it's anxious. I'm just ready to get out there. I'm ready to put my hands on somebody and just go win.
Johnson's also the type of kid who gravitates toward wrestling. The thing is, he just needed to find out about it first.
I was a sophomore in high school. Really? Yes, sir. I started late. I was just people say I was a tough, athletic kid. And once I started wrestling, I instantly fell in love with it. See, one thing with me, I always been into combat sports like MMA, boxing and stuff. And so once I seen it, I was like, oh, I like this. This is awesome. This is right in the alley I want to because I had a lot of extra energy. And a lot of the other people I was around, the school I went to that had it was a 1A school. So it was kind of slim pickings with a lot of people there. But the people that liked it got into it. Actually, one of my best friends is basically a brother to me. He was the one that really pulled me in, reeled me in, and showed me the culture of it. It's one thing to be exposed to it, but there's a culture to it, to understanding it.
Johnson speaks of culture, but he also speaks of the mentality of a wrestler.
Man, it's one of the biggest things, it comes to expose, especially on the high level, is you can see the mentality, all the athleticism put in with all the power, strength, and everything. It's a constant, like what people tell me, it's 7 minutes of sprinting. That's what it is. It's 7 minutes of high pace, attack. It's like Coach said earlier, you come to a match, you come to watch a fight. It's a lot of people butting heads. They're going after it. It's who's going to take it, who wants it more when it comes down to it. And be on the higher level seeing that, it's like you come in the room, you see guys, you see the switches getting tired. People want to beat each other, want to win. It's all mentality from there.
Ayersman's building his team around very green talent, but he's also hit the transfer market. One of those transfers is 2017-2018 NCAA qualifier Paul Bianchi, a transfer from North Dakota State, who was a 3-time high school state champion in Wrestling Rich, Wisconsin. He explains how he ended up at the nation's newest Division I wrestling program and how it was his younger brother Joey who actually opened the door.
I saw my brother was going here, and I didn't have the season I wanted to last year. I got injured and wasn't starting and stuff, and it kind of put a spark in my mind where I'm like, they came out with that portal thing, and I'm like, hey, maybe I can, look at other options, and maybe they'd be interested in bringing me in too. And turns out they were. They were the first ones to call me, and then I'm like, my brother's there. It's like the opportunity of a lifetime. So I decided that that's where I'm going. It was great. And so far I love it here. They definitely want me to get better every day. So it's awesome.
So what is the portal thingy? Well, it's the NCAA transfer portal where student athletes, if they're looking for a change, can put their name into the transfer portal. And then essentially the recruiting process starts over. So Paul asked his younger brother Joey, what was it about Little Rock that made him sign there in the first place?
I just kind of asked him about the coaches, like what makes them so great? Why were you so pumped after your visit? Like, what did they tell you? And he told me that they seemed like they really wanted him to be successful, and they wanted him for real. Like, they didn't just recruit him. They're like, hey, I want this guy. I feel this guy's going to be great someday.
This match serves a dual purpose for Paul Bianchi.
It's my next duel back, and it's just cool. It's cool to be a part of like a first duel like this. Like, even our last event at the Open, it was our first competition, and it sunk in. I'm like, this is really cool. Like, we're getting the first wins for this team. We're the first names on the lockers and stuff like that. So just having this, being part of this first duel and going out there and competing and wearing the maroon is really special. And I still have an understanding for how special it is, even though I'm not from Arkansas.
There's going to be pre-match jitters. But for Bianchi, the performance is also important. This is one case where when the announcer says, in case this is the first time you've ever seen wrestling, it's not just a throwaway comment to explain some weird nuanced wrestling rule.
Going out there and having a good performance is important because we need to bring some energy, bring some attitude and stuff, and that way more people come back to our next duel. So I think that, it's important for effort. And these guys, some of these guys are brand new and they haven't ever had a college duel. So hopefully they take it up and are motivated to do their best. But other than that, it's just fun. We're starting a great season hopefully, and it's gonna be awesome. I know it.
The last practice is over. For the wrestlers weighing in, they'll get a light breakfast and then work their weight down on Sunday. Coach Neil Ayersman has to entertain a recruiting class that's coming in. Then he meets with his friends and family. When he arrives at the Jack Stevens Center the next morning, it's match day. The process for a college dual meet weigh-in is simple. 10 weight classes step on the scale 1 hour prior to competition. Then a few words, some rehydration. 1 hour later, that whistle blows.
You got a pen? What's up, man? What's up? You got a pen on you? No.
Now the teams prepare for the weigh-in. Once we find a pen.
Yes. You got a pen? Maybe not. Fill in.
I got a pen. I just found that on the ground.
There we go.
Found that on the ground.
It was strategic.
It's not now. It's a nice pen.
Disappearing, reappearing, disappearing.
You got your pen? That's your pen.
That's Neil. Neil has my pen.
Can I steal your pen?
Yeah. Thank you. Where's the pen I found? Where's my pen now?
Who's got a pen? Who's got a pen?
Never mind. I think this is my first time at some
Okay. You guys want to line up by weight, please?
Starting at 41.
Starting at 41.
We're starting at 41, so 41 has to be first.
Okay, see. Okay. Everyone's telling me now.
If you follow combat sports at all, the weigh-in looks glorious on television. To be honest, in the sport of wrestling, it's just kind of there. It happens. It's part of the sport, and you move on. There doesn't seem to be any added tension here in Little Rock. Before the wrestlers actually step on the scale, they're going through skin check. This is to make sure the athletes aren't carrying a communicable skin disease like ringworm or something else gross, commonly referred to as the funk.
You want to go ahead and just get them as they go?
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, we got to have the sheets.
First they put on draws. Inside out, backwards.
I'm glad I'm not alone in those things.
Yes, wrestling coaches also make fun of their athletes from time to time. In this case, University of the Ozarks coach Leroy Gardner poking fun at his unnamed athlete.
It's not even the locker room. It's the amount of kids that they have to manage.
Yeah.
You got 12 kids on the team.
So
12 kids on the team.
lovely.
I can do that in my sleep.
Right?
The athletes are getting ready in the women's basketball locker room. Both head coaches keenly aware of the roster size of the women's basketball team compared to the numbers they have on their respective wrestling teams. Small talk aside, it's now time for the wrestlers to actually step on the scale. Before college dual meet, there's a coin toss. The team that wins the toss gets to elect to pick the starting weight or the choice in the odd or even matches. Little Rock elects to start at 141 pounds.
41. Ward.
The first Little Rock wrestler off the scale for the first dual meet at the Jack Stevens Center. It's fitting. It's the very first Trojan wrestler, Connor Ward. The weigh-in for a college dual meet doesn't take very long. A couple minutes later, everybody's made weight, Ozarks is cleared out, and Neil Ayresman has time to address his team.
Okay? Take about, we'll be out there for about 15, 20 minutes. Jog, stretch, hit some shots, get our heart rate up. We'll come back in here at about 12 till. We got about 5 minutes. We'll head out at 7 minutes. We run out at about 7 minutes before. Okay? About 35. Okay? So you got about 15, 16 minutes here.
We're now minutes away from introductions, minutes away from the first whistle. What's going through Neil Ayresman's mind?
Thoughts are I'm fired up right now. I'm ready for a fight. And when I look at my guys, I can see the same thing. So pretty fired up.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the next season of the opportunity from Clarksville, Arkansas, the Eagles of the University of the Ozarks.
Coming from the near tunnel, University of the Ozarks coaches Leroy Gardner, Jason Schweer, and Vinny Barber escort their wrestlers to the bench. Even though they're the more established program, they're Division III, and they are the underdog. Now the promotional video, playing on the video boards at the Jack Stevens Center. The music builds to a crescendo before the familiar beats of We Will Rock You by Queen, totally overused in sports, but totally fitting here at Little Rock. 1,453 fans are in attendance. That's more than Little Rock's opening basketball game as they meet their Little Rock Trojans for the first time. Now the wrestler introductions, in order by weight class from when we start. Again, first man introduced, Connor Ward. 10 weights get introduced, anthem gets played, referee calls the captains to the center of the mat. The next sound you hear doesn't happen without people like Greg Hatcher, Don Schuler, Bill Dessler, Rex Horn, Pat Smith, Carter Lambert, Chase Conk, and countless others who who worked with the Arkansas Activities Association to start high school wrestling, and those who also worked with the NAIA, the NCAA, and the NWCA, as well as their own school administrations to bring small college wrestling to Arkansas. And now, Division I wrestling is just moments away from being a reality in Arkansas. The only thing left to do is blow the whistle. Rocked Up is a presentation of the Matt Talk Podcast Network and can be found on the web at getrockedup.com or on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, or wherever fine podcasts are found. For more wrestling-specific podcasts, check out MattTalkOnline.com. If you like the show and want to support it, leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/MattTalkOnline.